Options are a convex product. So when you win, you big way more than you lose when you lose.
Fundamentally, I think whether it's FNO trading or crypto or Dream 11, the core is the same. It's winning big.
Basically, slot machine in everyone's pocket.
Yes.
That's what it is.
But if you look at the kids now, right? People seeing on Instagram how many cylinders that other guy ka car has. People also became extremely aspirational. So we grew up just to try to avoid being bankrupt. But this generation is growing up seeing how to become rich.
FDs are about 1 trillion, but if you look at mutual fund market, it is about 200 billion.
Well, half of India's wealth is invested in FD.
I can think of some influencers who will be very sad hearing this, but okay.
Hey folks, welcome to the show. I am Edul, co-founder of Mudrex, and today we've got two gems in the Indian investing space with us. We've got Ajinkya from Mint Wealth and Abid from Sensible join us on the show to talk about everything in investing, everything in the trading space, and how to create your wealth, and of course talk about their experiences as well. So welcome to the show, guys. And yeah, I would rather not introduce you. And what we would best do is we can just start off and discuss both of your stories first, and then go deeper into the conversation. So Ajinkya, you want to start off? Tell us a bit about you, about Mint Wealth, and how did all of this materialize?
Sure. So I graduated in 2012. Worked in my father's business for a couple of years. Didn't enjoy it. Started my first startup. It tanked.
That's a listed company which he won't say, so I have to fill in here.
Didn't enjoy.
People think father's business, kuch hoga, Chamraj paid some. We're talking about an NSE listed entity. But
it's a SME listed. It's a
it's listed.
It's listed big enough.
हाँ.
Like कि पापा के साथ नहीं करूँगा, मेरे को खुद का listing करना है.
No, ऐसा कोई ये नहीं. I just didn't enjoy the manufacturing side of it. Then started my first startup. It didn't work out great. We are fortunate enough that it got acquired. Then I worked at a bunch of fintechs.
What was this first startup? What were you doing?
So we started as a B2B e-commerce, then later pivoted to invoice bill discounting platform.
Like Udan before Udan.
Yeah, we were before everyone, but like it didn't succeed.
So,
then I worked at Credit Vidya, which is in alternate scoring. Then I was at MSwipe where we did merchant lending, and then I started Wintwealth. Idea of Wintwealth was very simple. Like people want higher fixed income assets, right?
Yeah.
It would be generally about 2% higher than FD, right? And Indians are crazy obsessed with fixed income products or realize. And there was no platform for fixed income assets. On equity side, you have a bunch of platforms, right? But on fixed income side, there is no deep platform. So that was the idea of Wintwealth, right? We started about 4 years back, right? Now we have AUM of about 700 crores. We started selling bonds, right? Bonds that give you about 10-11% return. Now we are also bringing FDs, right? We also SGBs on the platform. So bunch of stuff in fixed income assets. That's the Wintwealth play.
Yeah. So the fixed income playbook is very, very interesting, especially with interest rates now going to basically all-time highs in the last 15-20 year highs, and all of this scaling up. So एक थोड़ा और deep में जाते हैं यार. Why bonds? Why fixed income? That's like the one end of the spectrum that typically no one touches who is starting off a new business, right? How did you get into that part?
So I'll tell you. When my first startup didn't work, I joined Credit Vidya, and I was very clear that I had possibly made all the mistake a first time founder would do, right? So had learned a lot of lessons. So I was very clear that I'll come back and build something big, right? Having made all these mistakes. So whatever money I was earning, I didn't want to waste time learning investing. So I started parking that money in my father's business. So he had a bank loan at about 12%.
Yeah.
He said, I'll give you 11%. For me, it was a sweet deal.
Yeah.
11% fixed hai, liquid hai. Even in the night I want money, I can get it back, right? And there used to be always discussion among colleagues at workplace, Credit Vidya maybe, and at MSwipe also, ki kahan dalna hai paisa, kaun sa stock mein dalna hai, kaun sa mutual fund mein dalna hai. And people used to ask me, what do you do with your money? And I used to tell them very funnily ki main to bapu ke business mein dal ke baitha. And people used to like it, right? And once a colleague at MSwipe said ki, "Arey, mere ko bhi isme dalna hai." So I dal de. So immediately transferred 20,000 to me using Google Pay. And that's when it hit me saying ki yaar kuch to alag hai idhar ki.
Correct.
Why are people so liking this so much to the extent that somebody is giving me money, right? And then I started digging deep and found the problem interesting. And because I was working in the space, I knew how NBFCs work, how they raise money, etc.
Yeah.
Right. And these bonds were available at very high ticket size, 50 lakh or plus. We said, can we offer it at 10,000? Because we can invest, right? and found out, it's possible. There are a bunch of challenges. Okay, like we're foolish enough to say that we'll solve all of them, right? So we started. I'm glad we started. Now things are working out well.
This is a very unique space because on the one hand you've got the low returns FD and then there is equities and there is nothing in between, right? In the risk
Yes.
spectrum and the return spectrum as well.
Yes, that was the starting point. But now we are more like a fixed income platform. So
Correct.
we'll offer everything, right from a good emergency fund kind of replacement, good saving account, good FDs, good bonds, good SGBs, REITs, InvITs, everything. Just on the fixed income
Yeah,
side.
but-
Government bonds, T-bills, everything.
What's like the market size of something like this? Like broadly, ये fixed income product का पूरा.
So if you look at just FDs, right? FDs are about 1 trillion, right?
Yeah.
Obviously, bond market is very less, but if you look at mutual fund market, it is about 200 billion or about 15 lakh crore, 16 lakh crore. That's a mutual fund market, right? Most of it is in very high rated yield.
So FD is 5 times mutual funds.
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't know that.
FD is 50%
No,
of
this is
India's
and I
investing.
think 1 trillion is just pure FDs. Then there are a bunch of post office schemes and everything. So I suspect it is about 2
Bank
trillion.
FD is
Yeah. It is.
मतलब half of India's wealth is invested in FDs.
I can think of some influencers who will be very sad hearing this, but okay.
Don't jump to that topic.
We'll get to a lot of influencing as well.
Like, and what we look at is, okay, rather than that TAM, I'm more interested, is this product more valuable to someone? Who is this product valuable for as a TG, right? So that TG, what we look at is about somebody who saves about 10,000 rupees a month, right? If you are just saving 5,000, 1,000 rupees, a plain vanilla mutual fund SIP is good enough. You at that juncture, you should probably focus on increasing your income rather than figuring out how to get more returns, right? So somebody who saves about 10-20,000 a month, so that comes around a yearly income of about 4-5 lakhs. Official income tax data is about 25 million such people, and that is growing about 20% CAGR, right? So that's the market on this side.
Yeah.
Right? And on the like number side, I mean that numbers are very large, seemingly large. A lot of it is institutional capital. So if you look at, and I don't have exact data for as of now, but if you look at about 15-16 lakh crore of debt mutual fund market, about only 40,000 crore, which is just 2.5% is retail. The rest all is institutional, right? And even that around in 40,000, 10 or 20,000 is liquid mutual funds.
I didn't know institutional participation is so large.
So it's very huge.
Institutional is
I mean, it's because everyone wants to manage their corporate treasuries in
Correct.
a way that makes
Yeah.
sense, right?
And most of these big corporate treasuries, they only deal in debt. They don't
Correct.
deal in equity. So either debt mutual fund or direct bonds is that
Correct.
they invest.
That was my first job. So basically, I was in a primary dealer, and all these L&T Reliance type treasuries will come in the morning and say, dude, listen, 400 crore I want to put today in a liquid mutual fund. And they'll it's like hundreds of crores they'll put in a liquid mutual fund. And majority of what you see in liquid, ultra short term, everything is treasuries parking their surplus cash.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Yeah. So that's the market. So it's once the retail partition goes up, that market should go really, really fast because there are a bunch of people for whom these products can be good.
Correct. So we'll go much more deeper into the frontier on fixed income.
Yeah.
But Abid, sensible. Yes. So
Dude,
we would
honestly-
love to hear your story as well.
Yeah, although I have talked to Abid so many times, I still don't know what exactly Sensible does.
So since you have no idea what we do, I'm guessing your finances are extremely safe.
Yeah, very simple.
Because when people venture into option trading, I start getting worried for their families and children's education and whatnot. But the Sensible story is very simple here in the sense that, see, in an extremely short nutshell, right? In 2013. So in 2012, I was working as a currency trader, right? So in my first job out of college as a currency trader, second job was a currency trader, third job was a currency trader. And at the end of it, the last currency I found myself was in dollar INR, which went from 45 to 69, 70 levels, right? In that process, I had a trading team in Bombay, which was around 44 or 50 people. But by the end of dollar reaching some 60 plus, there were 8 of them left, right? And I was like the 8th youngest member, I think, in that team then. and it was Gandhi Jayanti on October 2nd. I had a holiday. I really thought ki boss dekho, either you are going to, die a hero, or you live long enough to become a villain. So I thought ki yaar fire to hona hi hai. 44 to 8 to aa gaya. It's just a matter of time before I'll get fired.
Yeah.
And so I thought I'll just ask my boss ki
All of this was at City when you were
this
at
is not City, this is Indian Infoline.
Okay.
City was my internship.
Okay.
And after my internship, the entire desk got fired. 2008, right?
You got a precedence, right?
Yeah, mega
Getting
fire,
there, getting
dude.
people fired and then moving.
Crazy stuff, dude. Like my desk in City was the one which did Tata, Jaguar, Land Rover, all of these things. But everybody got fired, right? In 2009, nobody had jobs.
Yeah.
So in 2012, I realized, dude, one day I'm going to get fired anyway. Might as well. So I went to my boss. His name was Pankaj, smart guy, one of the best traders I've known. I asked him, ki, dude, listen, what do I do? He's like, bhag ja beta. I'm like, what? He's like, see, you're young now. You can do something meaningful with your life.
Yeah.
You get stuck here for more years. You can never do anything else. While the time is young, get out, do something which is meaningful, create some value to the world. यहाँ पे हम 6 लोग बैठ के जुआ खेलते से कुछ नहीं होगा दुनिया को.
How old were you then?
I was 26, I think, 26 or 27. So he's like, nothing good is going to come out of us gambling to the world.
Yeah.
You do something productive, creative, etc., etc. So then next day I told him, okay, I'll leave. and now the problem is I don't have a job. I haven't really applied. So I was just thinking what to do. And my school friend calls me from Kozhikode, so that's my hometown, and says, "Ki dude, how about we go to Kashmir on my bike?" I'm like, yeah, why not? So
These are the chiller.
This is another school friend.
Okay.
After this comes chiller phase, right? So then we did that, and I started traveling from Kozhikode in Kerala. We reached Himachal, and then I realized, boss, I want to go back to trading. Everybody who's traveling, doing the hippie life, nomadism, they are all like high.
Yeah.
I don't want to be there.
You would rather get the thrill from trading.
No, yaar, the thing is, the crowd was thoda scary. Like by the time I was in Himachal, people were asking me to come see sacrifices of animals and like some shaman rituals, and I'm like, boss, kya chal raha hai? So anyway, I thought, okay, enough is enough. I'll go back to trading. At least people are sane enough. So I went back to Bombay, but it so happened that there was something called Startup Village Kerala, whose founders were my friends.
Yeah.
Right. So this guy, so there was this friend of mine called Jacob. We used to hang out every Saturday in Bombay. And this guy says, dude, why don't you just come over? I have like a mega idea. So I'm like, okay, fine, whatever.
Sounds like a scam, right?
Yeah.
I've got a mega idea.
So, and then he says, you should start a company. I'm like, yeah. He's like, start a company. That is the new shit these days. I'm like, what do you mean? Like everybody is starting up. You should also start up. India is going to become a startup country. 2012. Okay.
Yeah.
But I have no idea what he's talking about. So I'm like, anyway, I have nothing else to do. Might as well start up, right? It's not like I started interviewing for jobs and all. So I told him, chalo, we'll start up. Now the problem is, I don't know what to start. He's like, what do you know? I'm like, trading. Anything else? I'm like, no. Why don't you start in trading? I'm like, okay, fine, we'll start in trading. So we need a problem. So we don't know what's the problem. And then suddenly the problem is like, nobody is making money. Obviously, that's the problem.
Yeah.
So we said, we'll
Such a basic problem.
Very basic.
Everyone is trading. No one is making money.
It's like cigarette warnings, right?
Yeah.
Start out with it's harmful, nobody listens. Then you say it is injurious, nobody listens. It's like, boss, kutte ki maut marogi. But people still trade. It's like, so we thought, okay, there is a problem in trading. People are losing money. So we thought we'll start this thing. So 2013, we started, a friend of mine and I started in 2013. So at that point, we were living opposite to Zerodha, right? So it so happened that my elder brother was into equity investing. So this guy was like a very Adarsh Maryada Purushottam, right? He's like the most Maryada Purushottam person I know, like my elder brother. So he was a systematic investor. Since 2001, he has been saving, investing and all in stock markets. So he used to trade with one of the bank brokerages, but he went to Zerodha, right? And to give his new application form.
Correct.
So Nitin was hanging around in the front office at that time. So my brother meets Nitin and then realizes, oh, he's the founder and all. Then he comes back and says, dude, listen, I went to this company called Zerodha. I met their founder. They're like classic middle class people, no heirs around them, just like us.
Yeah.
You should also go talk to him. I'm like, so what do I have to lose? Because literally, so we used to live in a place called Bilekhalli. There was this apartment Surabhi. Then there was Banargata Road. You cross it, it is Zerodha's office. So I crossed the road. We went and said hi in 2013. That's how we came to know Zerodha.
And again, like just to give everyone context, at that time, Zerodha was like
Zerodha's-
what, 5,000, 10,000 clients? Like
20,000 was the peak,
Huh.
I guess. So
This Surbhi is in Raka Colony. Right?
next
Yeah,
to
it's all that same area.
It's all same area. I think his office was also
yeah,
there
our
long
post
back.
office was right there opposite.
So anyway, Nitin meets us and he commits money to build Sensible. Now the Sensible idea was prevent retail losses. We don't know how, but we'll figure out.
This is in 2013.
13.
Oh,
So
it's a very different Sensible from what we see.
very
today.
different Sensible from option trading. So anyway, we started building something. Thoda we built, but eventually the regulations were not really allowing a non-broking, non-empaneled vendor, third-party fintech aggregator and in India. So we decided we can't really continue. So we shut down after a year or so, roughly. But generally, at that point, we all parted in good terms. And Nitin had said, if you ever want to build a company, we'll do this again, right? So after that, I went back to Startup Village, Kerala. This is the chiller phase and all. And I realized, okay. Then I joined a US-based systematic RIA, algo trading, something. And one of these days in 2017, Nitin gives me a call and says, dude, listen, there is options trading space. It is very interesting. Why don't you think of building something? If you build it, I'll fund it. So now the problem is, now I'm introspecting about this prospect, right? I'm working in a US-based RIA, and on the other hand, somebody is writing a check to build a company in the only thing I know. I'm like, was interesting because see, 9, 10, 11, 12, my full-time job was options trading. Right? So it's basically you know one thing and somebody saying, why build a company in that one thing. So I thought, okay, we'll take a bit. But of course, option trading was a very small space. Right?
Yeah, like this is 5, 6 years ago, 6, 7 years ago, no one was doing options,
nobody was
right?
trading.
In fact, barely people were doing equities.
Correct.
Right.
So thoda in the reverse sense of, normal company psychology, I didn't pick a large market, right? Because see, most of the time we think, okay, kuch bada opportunity, usme kuch karenge. That's one way of looking at it. The other thing is, dude, I don't know how big this market is. I don't really know how this will play out. But I know for a fact that maybe I know how to do this.
Correct.
Right? So I think I got that unique fortune of somebody offering to build a company around the only thing you knew. Right? So yeah, of course, at that time when you look back, right, we thought maximum this company will be valued some 30-50 crores, right? We didn't see any business bigger than that. So, but then yeah, because it was pretty much the only thing I knew how to make, I signed up for it, and the rest is the story that you know. So yeah.
Insane run.
What does Sensible do? But
that's the original question with which we started, right?
See, the thing is this, right? In options trading, okay, the large problem is that most of the people who do options trading don't really trade with. See, there are two things, right? One is you have to form a good view using different kinds of data available, right? Now comes your view. Once you have formed a view, market idhar jayega, udhar jayega, then you actually need a proper tool to give you a mathematically tailored trade which fits your view, right? The sad part is that most of the time when people think market goes up, they buy a call. When people think market goes down, they sell a put. Sorry, buy a put. But it's not exactly that, right? Sometimes there are other strategies which are much better than higher ROI, better risk management, etc. So we do two things. One, we give a lot of data for people to form a view. Second is once you form a view, we give you mathematical tools to tailor make a trade which fits whatever is your view. And in case you are really starting out, the initial stage, right, there's a lot of education you have to do. We also solve that problem in the sense we have a lot of free stuff for learning options. So basically, learn options, figure out where the market will go, execute a trade. So we take care of that entire value chain of options.
The only thing I don't know is what is option trading. But yeah.
Kind of very late.
So then actually let's jump into that. Why don't you tell us, Abid, what is options trading? And you can tell us like from the basics, what is options trading? And then I would also want to go into like the history of this derivatives product in India and how is it grown, and then maybe we'll talk about what's the market and so on and so forth.
This is kind of interesting, right? Because the thing is, I tried explaining this to my mom for roughly 8 years. It hasn't, right? And I clearly remember, like I had once gone, on coffee with a friend of mine in Bombay, and this person was asking me, "Ki boss, so what exactly do you do?" Right? I took like a paper, book, everything, explain stuff. And this was just like a fairly smart person, right? For an hour, I drew diagrams, pictures, everything. And like I asked at the end, well, did you understand anything? And they know. I'm like, okay. But very, very roughly put, right? I think the best way to do it, explain it is, see, it's a speculative instrument. By that I mean, Nifty will go up or Nifty will go down, Sensex will go up or down, some stock will go up or down. The way for you to make money in it is, of course, be a good person and invest in it and hold for the long person.
Correct.
But if you're a degenerate person, you might also want to think, okay, 2 weeks it will go up 3%, let me make some money off it.
Correct.
Now, if you want to buy like stocks worth 10 lakh, you need to have 10 lakh with you. But if you only have like a lakh with you, how do you make a lakh? Then there comes leverage. So basically an option allows you to take a little bit of money, bet on this huge movement, and probably capture that entire upside or lose your entire money. So basically it's like, investing and trading on massive amount of steroids, extremely risky product. I'm going to say that every time I talk about it because I don't want people to jump into this without. So basically it helps you to bet on the direction of stocks or indices with small amount of money at massive leverage. Not something that everybody should do, but the risks and rewards. I mean, if you really like living dangerously, definitely. And yeah, that's what basically option. It's been in India for a long time, but I think what really caused the massive bubble or growth in options trading in India has been that I think in 2016, so a lot of people think that we did something crazy, right? The truth is we didn't do anything. Reality is that in India, Aadhaar eKYC. So the single biggest reason why Indian financial markets have developed so massively is Aadhaar eKYC.
Correct. Cost of onboarding has gone to
zero, right? So that's easy. And also people don't have friction ki yaar jaake paper submit, nothing. Your account is open before you even know it.
Correct.
The second thing, of course, is COVID came. So a lot of people were stuck at home. They don't know what to do. Third thing I think is a lot of social media aspiration, right? See, the thing is when we were growing up, we were told ki dude, listen, if you don't study, see, like look at 80s. I was born in 80s, right? 84 to be precise. When I was growing up, I used to watch a lot of Hindi and Malayalam movies. All of them had a common theme. There's this ladki and there's this guy, and this guy probably won't have a job or something, and then he won't have prospects. Then his savings will be gone. Then there'll be some illness in the family. People will be bankrupt.
Yeah.
And then there's that pivotal scene where she gets married to somebody else. This is what we saw growing up, right? So our entire childhood is like a black and white movie with low voltage showing themes of misery. But if you look at the kids now, right, it's like people seeing on Instagram how many cylinders that other guy ka car has, right? So people also became extremely aspirational.
Correct.
So we grew up just to try to avoid being bankrupt.
Correct.
Because that's what we were really being scared of. But this generation is growing up seeing how to become rich. So we were trying to not lose and they are trying to win massively.
Correct.
So now the thing is that if I go a little bit, if there are people watching it who are mathematical, options are a convex product. So when you win, you big way more than lose when you lose.
Correct.
So now the generation is skewed towards let me risk a little bit and see how it goes.
Correct.
I think that also fueled a lot.
So it's basically that mindset shift from savings first to let's try and win big.
Yeah. But because I am like 80s, I'm still more fascinated towards his product. In fact, 100% of whatever I do will be towards
Debt.
But unfortunately, it's a choice people make. People right now, this generation especially, I think, are people who want to get rich. They're not people who don't want to end poor.
Correct.
So, yeah.
And like that's also, I think, driven a lot of futures and options products everywhere over the last few years, right?
Also crypto, right?
Like crypto is also, like there is a different thesis and different pathway with how crypto has grown. And
no, but fundamentally, I think whether it's FNO trading or crypto or Dream11, the core is the same. It's winning big.
The intent that drives most people always is this idea that, okay, I want to speculate and get some returns. That's how.
Very fast.
Very fast being the operative instrument. I want to make money over 10-15 years. a lot of people get driven early on by that attachment. Now, some of them learn, others don't. And like the ones who learn then end up changing their thought process to investing in it consistently over a period and so on and so forth, right? Like, and that's basically, I'm assuming it's just a fees that you need to pay the market over time to make wealth, right? So even with crypto, this like 17, 18, 19 last cycle was the cycle when a lot of people came in. Quite a few of them lost money. Some of them realized that, okay, this is not good for me. Some of them realized that, okay, I can only make wealth in the longer run. So just continue to put and scale up.
Yeah, but I'll tell you one thing, right? So interesting that you brought out that point about learning that lesson. I don't really think it's a bad thing that people learn these lessons early. And I'll tell you why. Because see, I have been bankrupt 2-3 times in my life, right? All of them is when I was like 23, 24, 25. So I probably had like 5-6 figures to lose. And I did something stupid. I lost like a lakh or 2 or 3. Max I have lost like 5-6L in single trade. But that's it, right? I've never had a bigger loss. Now,
Correct.
the good thing is that I could do something really stupid with a little bit of money when I was very young in my life, with most of my earnings in future. So make those. So that's the thing, right? Like, so I had a cousin. He was 16 years old. He was going to Goa. So, and his mom came to know about this, and he's like, dude, listen. I'm like, boss, there are two choices you have. Either he does all this now, learns his lesson, sobers up, works really hard when he's in mid-20s.
Yeah.
Or he becomes a really frustrated 30-year-old person in a corporate in India who says, ki, boss, I have not had fun in life, let me do some stuff.
Yeah.
I think the first option is a much better option.
And of course, given the choice between the two, you would rather lose early, get those lessons early and move, right?
So I think one good thing, I mean, although it's not really a good thing because a lot of youngsters lose money, is that if they are losing money that they have, they are not borrowing money or something.
Correct.
It's not a bad idea if you make all the money mistakes you can make before you hit 25 and then you become careful with money.
Yeah.
So in that sense, yeah, whether it is crypto or F&O, there has been that angle playing out. But anyway, yes, that's just my take.
So here, coming out to F&O. So like, it seems like today almost every single broker is basically just making money off F&O, right? And that's the side of the market that's rapidly growing.
Correct.
And what do you think is the scale at which we are? How many people do this F&O trading these days?
It's a lot. I think the market size, the last time I checked, was somewhere close to 50 lakh people trade options on every expiry is what we are estimating.
50 lakh, that's roughly the same number of people who have mutual funds.
No, mutual fund is much higher.
5 crore. 5 crore, sorry, my bad.
So 50 lakh people trade F&O every expiry. That's a big number.
Yeah.
And the thing is this, right? Now there are expiries every day. So obviously, see, I think that's one other thing, right? In when we 10 years back, 20 years back, there's a lot of patience involved in life, right? So whether if you're working towards something, if you're sending a letter to somebody, you write a letter, post it, other person opens it after 3-4 days, etc. Even when you're dating, you meet a person, you're friends with that person for 2-3 weeks, and eventually you ask a person, but now it is like swipe. So the entire cycle of dopamine triggered gratification has massively shortened.
Correct.
Right? Probably 10 years back, people were happy to invest for 2-3 months, 1 year, etc. Now this daily expiry. Boss, I don't want to know next week what will happen to my money. Today, 3:30, I want to be, like, I want to win instantly. Everything is instant, right? Like, this entire social media triggered likes, instant feedback loop has really messed up people's dopamine circuits. So
also just reset expectations in people's mind, right? What time frame should I look at? And that lack of patience.
Today 3:30 is my time frame.
Yeah, exactly. No one cares about
3:30 today was. If you want an expiry, I kid you not. There is an expiry in 3.5 hours.
Yeah.
Like it's 11:53 now. You can catch one. You open your phone. You can take a trade within the next 10 seconds. So that has brought in a lot of people. So what is really worrying me is that I don't know if they're coming here to make money. I don't know if they're coming here to create wealth, or is it because they are just addicted to dopamine.
Yeah.
Right. So that also has made F&O trading massive.
I think
basically slot machine in everyone's pocket.
Yes.
That's what it is.
Yeah, I think like obviously I might be biased, but more like the kind of sample I have spoken to, they look at it just as a quick rich scheme, but not just a lottery.
You are both looking at me like a drug dealer now, right?
No. No,
We are in crypto, we do the same. We'll
so
get
in my
there.
mind, FNO.
See, he is the only nice guy. I'm telling you, he is the only nice guy in this
Not
world.
like-
We'll get to bonds in a
you
minute.
guys are making money, right? So that's a good. So in my most of the youngsters I have looked at, right? Couple of people had interned at Vint, and then they said we are quitting this to go into trading. It's obviously Instagram, and like there is suddenly that rich life. It's suddenly visible to you. Earlier it wasn't visible.
Correct.
So suddenly that becomes more aspirational, right? Because you see it daily in and out, owning car or having foreign trips. So they look at more of this in a quick rich scheme, like get rich quickly. I don't want to be rich in my 40s. Can I get rich in a couple of years? Right? And that's why even crypto, whenever actually if you see massive crypto adoption, that happened when the bull run was actually there, right? Because people could see, and I also did it, right? He invested in a bunch of coins, etc. So it is like the fundamental is key. I want to get rich quickly, and that is the same principle whether it is FNO, crypto, or Dream11. The only thing I see why FNO has grown a lot compared to cryptos, and they serve a very important purpose, is create liquidity in the market. Otherwise, if you see crypto and Dream11, they've been like government has been not so.
But you do realize the number of people who played Dream11 in India is 10 times the number of equity investors.
Yeah.
Yeah. The reason is because there is one critical factor between all three
Bet size.
things. Not bet size, and lottery is you have to feel that you know something to win.
Yeah, that's
and cricket is something that
Everyone thinks that
everyone
they know.
thinks.
FNO, if you think it's a very complex, the learning curve is very steep.
Yeah.
I think social media influencers
Yeah.
made it really sounded really
Sounded
easy, or
easy, but
created videos, or and somehow that FNO market I saw it's grown 500x in the last 15 years.
Yeah. No, but
Which
like
is-
for
which is
example,
crazy.
if you come to say Mudrex ki website, our tagline says 97% of people lose money while trading. You should not be trading, you should be investing. I think that's the same thing that you guys say.
You have 97%. Oh, we only have 89. I'm sorry, but no. See, the thing is this, right? I really thought we were at the peak, right? And it is, dude, it's sad because, like, see, if it's sensible, the only thing which we try to do now is to set expectations right. So we run a show every day at around 8:39. This is the third year running now. Every evening we do this, and the only thing which we say is, "Ki boss, dekho, if you don't want to trade, don't trade. If you don't find an opportunity, don't trade. If you want money, then don't trade. If you have excess money which you have no idea what to do with, then you can trade. And if you find a good trade, right? You see, we try to set expectations right. We try to make people not gamble. Even in Sensible, we have so many places where we're trying to listen, boss. Even when people ask me publicly, right, if you are a young person, 25, 21, whatever, I tell them, boss, focus on your job, don't get into all this stuff.
Correct.
But unfortunately, the reality that we are facing is that, like, see, I don't know what to do about it. There is an 89% loss figure. That is a statistic. One can be all moral about it and say, ki boss, dekho, this is wrong. But then again, see, it's a free country, right? You can't tell a person not to aspire for something.
Correct.
Because that has a high risk rate, right? Like only 11% of the people make money. So you can't tell them, boss, you can't do this, right? Only 1% of the people or 2% of the people beat index. You can't tell them don't do this because it's free will ultimately.
Yeah.
Like if you look at IIT JEE, for example,
Yeah, exactly.
it has 1%, half a percent success rate. I can't tell somebody, boss, listen,
Don't
तुम्हारा
apply
नहीं
for
होगा
it.
UPSC, कौन हो तुम, चुप रहो, कुछ और करो. I can't say that, right? Because that's
In fact, in JEE you only get one chance, right? Once a year, probably.
really
Here,
correct.
Here you can learn daily, right? So there, like, obviously, I mean, it should be there. I mean, I'm not
And
against it. I'm just
everyone
saying.
has that aspiration to grow and become better and improve. And this seems like almost like a lottery format of winnings.
Correct. And in any competitive aspirational field, the success rate is low. So a lot of people do ask me, right, ki boss, it's 11%, why doesn't the country ban it? It doesn't matter, right? You ban options or F&O or something else will come up.
Correct.
I hear informally that the size of derivative, OTC market, I don't mean OTC, it's Dabba, right? People who informally call somebody and say, ki boss, I want to take this bet, no exchange, nothing involved.
Correct.
That's, at one point I was hearing the size of that is 5 times the F&O market.
Oh, is it?
Yeah. It's huge actually. Yeah, dekho, if you are like a very rich person and I'm like a very rich person, if you and I trade,
Nobody knows.
Between us we can do, right? Why should we get 30% government, STT, GST, all of that involved? Aapas mein kar lete. This is the attitude most people have, right, in an unorganized sector. So the dabba market in India is actually massive.
And
Yeah.
you would
No,
rather have that formalized.
I want, like, in fact, I am of the opinion that these are human tendencies. So if you ban something, they'll do it illegally.
You can't fight.
Rather, formalize it, make it like,
Make it
and,
structured,
and
educate
get
people,
good
and then-
tax on it.
Yeah.
Right.
So, but yeah, I think everyone should be allowed to try. But I think there should also be enough people in the system who care. Ki boss, dekho, this is damaging you. Please do something about it. Right. So we do this a lot. Whenever we see somebody with a small account size busting out, we tell them ki probably you shouldn't do this thing. Like I have got so many mails in the past from our users saying ki, I have stopped trading after listening to you. I am now focusing on work. My outcomes are much better. So it's a balancing act, right?
Correct.
Yeah.
Like, so,
Yeah, it's very important that whoever is involved, like a platform, like whether it's Sensible or Zerodha or Mudrex, they operate in good faith.
Yeah.
Right. They don't encourage.
So, I mean, I didn't know that you had that big banner, and
Yeah, it's like
wonderful that
literally,
you do.
like we literally, there is our website says as a trade in crypto, इसमें trade कटा हुआ है, it says invest, put money for the long run, do
Very
SIP,
nice,
because
yeah.
otherwise it doesn't work.
Yeah.
Yeah. Let's move to the other end of the spectrum. Like FNO is ekdam sexy, degen, and then we've got, savings and fixed income. Yeah, Ajinkya, like the bond market outside India is huge. I would argue that fixed income in India is anyways huge, but most of that is just bank FDs, right? So how has that evolved, and do you see the entire bond market evolving better? Because just like how Abid was talking about the dabba part, actually informal lending is very common in the country, right?
Yes.
Like every single person knows that, like there, at least in the trader communities, people do give off loans at like 12, 15, 18%. So that part is already there. Do you think that formalization is something that will happen? How do you see that entire part evolving?
So that formalization can happen irrespective of bond market, because you have very robust banks here which actually lend money to NBFCs.
Correct.
Right? So if you look at the NBFC balance sheets, right, which majorly is formalizing, like when somebody takes, like, so obviously we work in this sector, so we clearly see a difference. If you're a salaried, so we call it India, or if you're non-salaried, you're a Bharat person, it's very difficult to get loan.
Correct.
And these are people who used to take money from money lenders, right, at a very high interest rate, 100% plus interest rate. And that is the market that NBFCs are going and capturing by figuring out different mechanisms, small pockets, right? And they're growing about 20%, 25%. So the balance sheet size of NBFCs would be about 12 lakh crore or something. About, if you assume 1/4 of it is equity, it will be more, 1/3, let's say 4 lakh crore. Then 8 lakh crore borrowing is already there.
Yeah.
So this 12 lakh crore is already formalized. These people have borrowed from NBFCs.
Correct.
If NBFCs weren't there, they would have borrowed it from money lender. Right? So that formalization has happened, but it hasn't percolated. It hasn't caused increase in bond market, because that funding has mainly come from banks.
Correct. Because basically the entire point of NBFCs is this entity that's willing to take more risk than a bank is, right? That's why that's the basic reason why they exist, or why they offer these rates as well. So there is banks who lend out to India, as you said, then there is NBFCs that lend out to Bharat and so on and so forth at a slightly higher risk premium, and then there is the entire the unorganized market where you basically are not even able to get loans from the NBFCs. So that's one part of the fixed income spectrum.
Yes.
Let's similarly talk about bonds as well. Yahan pe kya
So I'm
chalta
saying
hai?
currently, like if you look at bond market, the main borrowers are the NBFCs.
Correct.
If you see debt issues, I guess 90% plus are done by NBFCs, because for them money is raw material, and corporate generally get funded by banks, so they don't want to get compliance part, issue NCD, get it listed, fulfill compliance, transfer money. This is preferred dealing with banks. Right?
Yeah.
So banks have done that job well in India, especially the corporate lending. So NBFCs constantly need capital, so they are out raising the market, right? And if you look at, for NBFCs also, for long time, banks are the biggest lender. If you look at about 5 years back, bank to NBFC, like if a bank has a 100 rupee loan book, 5 rupees of it used to be lent to NBFCs. So bank will give 5 rupees loan to different NBFCs. In 5 years, that has doubled. Now it has become 10% in terms of percentage, but in terms of absolute number, it has grown 4 times.
Yeah. It's insane.
Right. And now RBI is coming up and saying banks should be cautious because they don't want banks to lend to NBFCs. They're saying banks should go and do their retail lending and NBFCs should borrow from the market. So now we are seeing some tailwinds in the bond market. SEBI formalized online bond platform. We are one of them, right? So there is now push coming to develop a bond market. So I think when we say that a bond market in US is mature, it is 4 times the equity market there, and it is probably very less. If you just look at mutual fund, it is about 1/4, 1/3 of the equity mutual fund market, debt mutual. It is because of the incentives that government will provide, right? In US, you have lot of liquidity even for the junk bonds, which are below investment grade rating. In India, it's very hard to find any bonds that are liquid which are A rated even, right? So unless there is, so liquidity should be there, ticket size should be low, it should be formalized, which wasn't formalized for long. It was formalized, but till 2020, the minimum issue size had to be 100 crore. And if you have to borrow 100 crore, you have to be a really large entity, right? And then, so these are some of the challenges now we are seeing that government is taking on and solving those.
So how are the regulations changing in this space?
Very positive. So they reduced first. They said, okay, if you don't, the issue size need not be 100 crore. It can be 10 crores also. But the cost were prohibitive. Then they said, so earlier if you had to do a listed bond, the minimum ticket size was 10 lakh. So if you do, like for most of the NBFCs, it used to be 10 lakh. If you opted for a higher compliance, you could do 1,000, but that was very prohibitive, right? So for majority of the issues, 98% of the volume was this 10 lakh ticket size. 1.5 years back, the SEBI reduced it to 1 lakh rupees, and now they've come up with a consultation paper saying we are reducing it to 10,000. So the ticket size has reduced. Now suddenly friction has reduced. People can invest 10,000 and see, right? 10 lakh is a very huge amount. 1 lakh is even.
You not even be able to try.
Yes. No, so people can try. So there are these incentives that government is taking. The biggest delta still I see is, if you look at, there is a arbitrage in bank FDs, right? If you have a Kotak Axis or some small finance bank offering 2% more up to 5 lakh, it is guaranteed by government, the RBI. So whether I don't have to care for the rating of the bank, right? So any bond, if it has to make sense to retail, it has to provide 2% more than the highest FD.
Correct.
Right. So beating that, then that market reduces a lot. So that is another friction point, that like if the bond market has to develop, the government has to solve for all of these things.
Correct.
And then the bond market will definitely improve.
I have a doubt, right? So you're saying that there's a 2% extra on small finance banks.
Yes, compared to a traditional.
Let's say an SDFC and Ujjivan, and then
correct.
There is
so
the
now
other end,
my doubt is this, right? So if let's say somebody has 50 lakh, what is stopping him or her from investing 5 lakh into 10 in 10 small finance banks? Is there like a lot of friction?
No, there is a friction. There used to be friction that you have to open a savings account, etc.
Okay.
Now these small finance banks are open, like we are going live with bunch of banks where you don't have to open savings account.
So I can just, so are you telling me that, so if ICICI right now or HDFC right now is giving around 7% return, so you're saying a retail investor can open like a small finance bank, 5 lakh,
correct,
9.5% return.
Yeah,
and like, all of that backed and insured by the RBI.
Yeah, we are live with now Unity.
What's the stock make you
we are live with Unity Bank. So
I didn't know that.
This is actually a very
the saving account, they're saying perpetually zero balance,
Okay.
right? And it is giving 9.6% for senior people, 9.1 for normal people.
That's crazy.
And for a 1 or 2 year maturity, not even like long maturity.
It's actually a very interesting point you brought up, right? If the FD rates are so good, why would anyone ever take any risk? Which is like,
so
stock
they will take risk provided
of course.
they will take risk provided there is a premium to it.
Correct.
So if I'm getting 9.1% in the FD, why would I take a risk in any AAA bond also for 9.5?
Correct.
I should at least get 10.5 or 11.
So you're saying that basically move all your money from any 7.5% bond to
it makes sense, right?
Makes sense, yeah.
Like we will be on Wintwell, you will eventually see 10 banks live.
Okay.
And for most of the banks, you wouldn't have to open a savings account. Even if it is a saving account, it will be zero balance saving account.
And
you could operate.
No catch.
No catch. You could book online and you could withdraw online.
In Maharashtra where some small bank came under stress and the accounts were frozen or something, right?
No. So that was PMC Bank, which was not. It was not stress. It was outright fraud.
Okay.
Right. So But if you book, at that time, the limit was 1 lakh. So whoever had below 1 lakh, they got money. Now government has even passed a law saying if the bank goes bankrupt, you will get that money, whatever is covered in 90 days.
And it's not only that, you get the money plus the promised interest as well.
Mega arbitrage.
Yeah.
Okay, I didn't know this.
So you get the money plus the interest. So it's actually like with whatever is happening now, it actually makes a lot of sense to
So
park some
therefore
of your funds in FD.
we said we'll not just provide bonds, we'll also provide FDs. So like we'll also provide FD.
And how many small banks are there? Maybe some 12 small finance banks.
Yeah.
So 60 lakh you can put in a...
Yeah. Anybody who has 60 lakh generally is married. So you can open one in your wife's account.
Hold on.
Yeah, wife's account. Then if you can have a...
Did we just hear anybody who has 60 lakhs is
Generally, yeah. In 90%. I'm not judging anyone.
So what does that imply? I'm more interested in the implication of this.
90%. I'm just telling you. It need not imply
Is
anything.
this correlation or causation?
Correlation. Obviously correlation.
Well, by the time you are married, your spouse comes and tells you कि अरे risk मत कर, पैसा बचा.
No, not risk. I'm saying
So you're saying around 1.2 crore you can put in.
to earn that much amount, to have that kind of saving, you will be in mid-30s. By that time, you will be generally married.
Generally married.
Yeah. So that's the logic.
So you can
Right?
typically.
So 60 lakh plus 60 lakh on your wife's name, and plus you can open a joint account. So another 60 lakh in that. Right.
So you're saying 1.8 crore I can put in small finance banks for around 9.5% return.
Yeah. And plus if you have HUF, right? So another 60 lakhs. So there are a bunch of tricks.
So basically 1.8 crores of 9% interest. That's a very nice trade here.
Yeah, not everybody is giving 9. Unity is highest, which is going about 9. Everyone else is at 8.5.
But actually, it's very interesting, right? Like FD rates have gone up, but liquid funds have basically just disappeared. The interest rates in liquid funds has gone away.
No, it's still there.
Like it's 4.5%.
No, it's
Arbitrage funds are doing better.
6-7 abhi hoga.
7, at least the ones I have are all at 7.
Yeah,
But even in that case, right? Even a 7 is not beating a simple bank FD.
No, that's true. But
Kyunki
I
at
can
the end of the day, there is some risk.
No, bank FD has a tenure.
Correct.
Liquid, you can get
Liquidity is
7%
the
anytime.
liquidity is the difference.
Even for 1 month, you will get 7%. In a bank, for 1 month, you will get 2-3%.
this is very, very... But I mean, technically, proper bank gives you 7.5%.
7 point,
7 quarters.
today, if you see SBI or Kotak, their highest is about 7.15.
So it's a 1.5% arbitrage almost.
Yeah.
And it is gonna exist for a long time.
Basically, it's effectively laddered that way only, right? Like you've got the safest bank at 7.5. Then you've got the small finance banks at 8.5. We're not talking about senior citizens, like the normal.
But that safety
part that
only
people-
matters if you're investing, let's say, 1 crore in one bank, right?
Correct. No, that's why it's laddered. So it's
And
there.
this is small finance bank which are 12. The cooperatives bank in India are 1500.
Yeah.
Yeah. But
And as they upgrade their tech and they start booking FDs online.
So that FD, then there is bond, then there is equity markets, which is all basically 1.5% gaps of what you can expect with that increase in risk.
And at the lower spectrum also, like people keep money in savings account. In general banks, they don't move the savings account rate with repo rates.
correct.
So now in savings account you will get 3%,
Correct.
but in liquid fund you will get 7%. So there is that.
So savings bank doesn't make any sense now because even liquid gets cash the next day, right? So
Yeah, so a great product will be a liquid fund and a credit card backed by limit of that liquid, because people want that as emergency.
Yeah,
fund. So
correct.
Yeah.
Well, that's what you would want to do as well, right? Like park your funds, use it for credit, fill it up whenever you can, just buy that.
This is interesting. So
It's all, I'm assuming it's all going there with the SEBI also wanting to do T+1 and then eventually T+0 settlement, right?
Yeah.
It's one useful info for everybody watching. Extra 1% return in a small finance bank up to 5 lakhs.
How long do you think, by the way, this will last? Do you think it's going to be there for some time? Because this is like all of these interest rates are outliers. We've not seen this for the last 15 years, right, in the country.
No. There have been always there. In fact, one of the when I started doing research, I mean, how people, like Indians have this very typical DNA. I call it greed in moderation. We don't have we don't even appreciate rags to riches story in one generation, right? We like Tatas who've been there 100 years, right? So how people used to earn extra interest is there used to be always some small cooperative bank or credit society which used to give 2% more than SBI.
Okay.
And people used to book money there.
But were the numbers always in the range of 8-9%?
Yeah, 2%. So it is just 2% more than it.
Correct.
So you will be surprised. There is this in Maharashtra. There is this Buldana Urban Cooperative Society. It's not even a bank. imagine the kind of FDs they will have. 12,000 crores.
Wow. Okay.
Buldana is a small town.
Yeah,
Delhi has like 2 lakh
but they
people.
have obviously branches
Of
all over
course.
Maharashtra.
Honestly, I haven't even heard of Buldana. My next question would have been, what is Buldana? But thank you for clarifying. They have
Yeah.
12,000 crores.
It's just not so much developed district also.
Okay.
Just the bank did phenomenally well. They
Okay.
built trust. It's not even a bank, I'm sorry. So it's not even covered under deposit insurance. But because it is FD, because people have so much and they have been
The trust
repaying-
with this FD has been there in the country since forever, right?
So there always has been this arbitrage. It was not just so tappable because if you stayed in Bangalore, how would you book a FD in a cooperative bank, which is, let's say, in
Oh, so
in
you're saying that
Meghalaya?
actually that's what has changed. Basically, the onboarding part that we talked about, the cost of onboarding has gone to zero. Now you don't need to open a savings account, so friction has gone to zero. And then
Even if
the
it is
insurance has grown on from 1 lakh
it
to
was
5
from
lakh.
1 lakh now to 5
So
lakh.
like all of that has staggered together to create this opportunity now that did not exist a few years ago. And plus then there are platforms like you guys who are just making it very easy
Yes.
to do it in a go.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah. And all of this is changing at this rapid pace, right? And especially if you think of it now in a country like India, where barely like RIAs basically don't exist. Like you were working at a RIA in India, there are basically 800 RIAs.
I was in a array in US.
Yeah, boy, an RIA in US. And in the US, like wealth management is a very proper setup where everyone has an advisor who helps them understand it. In India, this entire bit does not exist.
Correct.
So on the one hand, you have influencers,
It
and on
largely
the other
exists
end,
under the pretext of mutual fund distributors in my opinion.
but those are not advisors, right? They are basically selling you what they are making commission on.
They make commission on almost all mutual funds. So, but like even like I had this saying ki there is a conflict of interest, but largely I'm seeing the advisors are well intended and they do, like, even if there is a conflict of interest, they do a decent job. Most of the individual advisors I'm seeing.
Correct.
If you go to institutional advisor, there is a big problem.
God help you.
Right?
But still think of it this way, right? They will also just advise you to put money in a mutual fund. Who will ever come back and tell you ki, arey, park some in an FD, then move to keep
They
some
tell
part
all these things
of
also.
your insurance?
Yeah, they tell all these things also. And they, in my opinion, most of these advisors, if they have not delivered, it is not because of conflict of interest, it is because of lack of competency itself. Because they didn't know which mutual fund is good.
And anyways, most of the job that local advisor is doing is just making sure that they are the trusted face for the person, right? कि मेरे को किसके पास जाना है, ये चाचा के लड़के के पास जाना है.
हाँ, but they have,
Mutual fund खरीदना है.
they also take care that face is saved. So they will not do ekdam random shitty
Correct.
stuff.
Of course, because it's the
The
local.
random shitty stuff is generally done by bank RMs.
Banks are.
You
Bank
know
arms.
they can
Right.
get transferred anytime. So a client comes. So these are the riskier EA. If you go to actually individual advisor, he knows he has to make his whole money life there and he's situated there. There is a lot of social taboo. So if he makes mistake, it's generally because of his competency mistake. It's not generally.
You see, if a bank RM calls you, don't answer the call. I mean, like last time somebody called me, he's like, we have this product, that product. So at the end of it, I said, bro, listen, don't take me wrong. Used to work in your same system. He's like, I see.
Yeah.
So you know.
Yeah.
Yeah,
so,
he knew. I knew.
so
and he got the
advisory
call.
in some sense is already there.
But it's basically all informal advisory, right? There is so there is that one layer of informal advisory, very low wealth managers, and then do you think as a result of that there are these just too many influencers now who are just trying to advise you and sell you ki get rich quick this way? Do you think that's why that's happening, or it's just like a general phenomena?
Like obviously, like influencer is a very interesting topic. I think not all are saying get rich quick.
Correct.
If you talk about influencer, right, the top ones are doing a decent job in my opinion.
Yeah.
I think there are a lot of scamsters who are posing as influencers. That's the problem.
Yeah.
But matlab, the thing is, even these offline advisors, right, they are not able to serve that many clients. Yes, there is a lack of advisor, and then people don't. Another problem is people don't want to pay also, right?
Correct.
So therefore, these influencers have caught up that, have
Also more
captured-
interesting content.
Yeah.
See, the thing is, if I want to be entertained, I should be entertained.
Yeah.
If I want to learn, I should learn. If I want to invest, I should invest.
Correct.
I can't mix these three things.
Correct.
Right? There's no such thing called entertainment with investment. Boss, you want to get entertained, you go to, the nearest
Go and watch
PVR
Netflix.
movie or something. But when there are people on YouTube who are singing and dancing and having bling bling lights and doing financial advice, The problem is this suboptimal solution to a non-optimization problem comes in and people come and say, "Ki, oh, this is interesting content I want." I'm like, bro, why do you want to watch interesting content? Like, it's your money,
No,
right?
no. I think, but like that's again human tendency. It's same like a moral stand saying people should not do FNO. People want to do FNO. Similarly, people want to watch interesting.
Correct.
So we kind of figured out two personas in this investing. We call them Baba personas and Chela personas, right? And
What?
so Baba personas are people who enjoy the process of learning.
Okay.
So they will like to read about mutual fund,
Okay.
Sharp ratio, ye ratio, O ratio,
Huh.
and decide. So they don't need social proof. I mean, they will look at social proof only as a sign of legitimacy. They would not. So I'm a Baba. If Abid does something, I will not just copy it. I'll say, okay, Abid has done and Abid hasn't lost money, so this product is legitimate. Now let me do my own.
Let me do my own thing.
Yeah.
Because they enjoy the process, and this is only about 2-3%.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking.
All other 97% are like Chela personas. So they
Oh, Chela, Chela. Okay. I'm like, what is this?
The
Chela?
followers.
the followers. So they are not interested in finance.
Yeah.
They want to enjoy life.
Yeah.
But they have to do personal finance because they want to manage their
They want
wealth.
to earn and spend,
It's
but
like
not.
in school there used to be one subject we all hated, right? Somebody hated maths,
Yeah.
somebody hated drawing or something,
yeah.
which you had to pass because you had to move to the next year. So for finance is like them. So if you offer them a very nuanced, very serious, they will not even learn because their brain is not wired for it. So this, by getting that entertainment content, obviously it has its own problem.
So at least they feel less guilty कि हाँ मैं कुछ कर रहा हूँ.
नहीं, they learn also.
They learn also. Okay.
I mean, they eventually start investing. They will say, "चलो index में तो करते हैं, ये करते हैं." Like they have. I think like lot of this adoption is also because of these influencers.
That's true.
Because how do you, if you are not interested in something, how do you get people to learn about it?
Yeah, I mean, to give credit where it's due, these guys have popularized and created awareness about some things in mass audience.
Yeah.
Yes,
That
and
is
they have done
undeniable.
and some of them have done stupid mistakes.
Yeah.
There is no doubt. And
A
some
lot of them.
Lot of.
Lot of them, and that will happen with any profession. I think the mistakes are okay when people will take them for a ride, like you also mentioned, right? When you make a mistake, people obviously question you because, right? The bigger problem in influencer ecosystem is there are scamsters who pose as influencers.
Correct.
You started doing a good job by exposing them, but I think when like you just can't call everybody influencer and say everybody's bad.
Yeah.
Correct.
There are some really good influencers who I know them very personally, and I know which we can't tell them. They've rejected many products, advertising many products, and rejected big monies because they didn't believe the product was right.
Correct.
Right. And on the other hand, there are proper scamsters, right, who basically try to pose as influencer and scam.
Correct.
So just because some entrepreneur is scammy, you wouldn't call all entrepreneurs
that's
scamsters,
right.
right? So that's that. So I generally think that they've done a good job and they have captured this audience which is not ready to pay, right, and which is not even interested, and which was not catered by this.
But let's come back to that, right? India is still very early in this entire investing setup. Like most people still park most of their money in either an FD or some gold.
Yeah, बहुत early ऐसे मुझे लगता नहीं, because if you just look at number it is ये, but how many people have money? Like if you see people who have money more than 5 lakh or people who file income tax, so who generally have income is about 6-7 crores.
Yeah, that's it.
So do you think it's not
Already out of them 5 crore are already investing.
Yeah.
Just because you have 140 crore doesn't mean like
or let's put the bigger fundamental problem, right? Everybody says India is a 150 crore people market.
Yeah.
That's not true. India is a 7 crore people market, right?
Correct.
It's basically the size of Germany. The real market in India is only the population of Germany.
Correct.
See, how do I put it? It's like some dude, American dude said long time back, India is like a desert of poverty with islands of wealth. Right? It hasn't really changed much. Of course, there has been many more people being pulled into the middle class, etc. But the large majority of people, that equitable distribution of wealth, right? That has not really happened.
If you look at, so if you earn 50,000 rupees a month, you are in top 5% of the earners.
Yeah.
That is the problem.
Right? So if you have 140 crore of population, if you like as a family income, so 7 crore people, or let's say 10 crore people including families, earn more than 50,000.
Correct.
Out of that, 5 crore already invest. and obviously their spouses won't be investing. So you already see 70-80% kind of penetration.
Basically, you're saying that everyone who can invest is already investing.
Now, if you want more people, the social distribution of wealth has to change. Unless a lot many more people come out of poverty in India, I don't think the market will grow. Forget about market. I don't think the country can grow.
Correct.
Because
But eventually, let's say that does happen, right? We are all eternal optimists. We do believe that the country will grow, and it's on that path, right? It's one of the largest growing setups in the world.
No, very optimistic about that.
yeah,
But
100%.
it is very early is not that. Is
Yeah,
what
I agree. It's not early; it's penetrated, but that part is growing. Do you think that growth may and educating people is very important, and personal finance is this thing where it's actually very personal, right? Like your choices and my choices are very different because based on where I am, what I want. How do you think people will figure this out? Like, isn't like and figuring out where do you invest, how do you invest, how do you change that is an important problem, right? Do you think that's a problem that's worth solving in this country? Do you think it'll get solved, and what's the pathway to get there?
See, okay. The only thing you need to know in finance, everybody thinks finance or investing is about picking the right stock or the right instrument or the right sector. That's the biggest lie ever.
Exactly.
The only thing that matters is what's your asset allocation. Whether you are 60-40 debt equity or you are 30% equity, 30% debt, 20% real estate, 10% gold, these are the things that matters, right?
Correct.
The only thing you have to get right is, okay, you are in equity. It doesn't really matter which stock. In fact, stock picking is also futile. Just invest in. So all you need to know about personal finance can be summarized in less than 5 minutes. Pick sectoral allocation. Break it between equity, debt, real estate, gold, whatever. Uske baad, when you are coming to equity, figure out large cap versus small cap ka this thing. Once you have figured it out,
I have even simple formula.
Put everything in index ETF.
Personal finance, I'll tell you. First, make sure you earn more than 10 lakh.
101, yeah. That's the basic thing.
Right. Second, live below your means.
Okay.
Third, have insurance, term, health, everything. Fourth, have emergency fund. Fifth, park money in index fund. Even if you do that,
index fund, just index
so
fund.
you don't even need to know about stock market.
Yeah,
correct. And I think that it somehow seems like most people have tried to make investing so complex when actually it is just these basic
This
things,
is
right?
it, by the way. All that he's saying.
Have a base, set up an insurance, live below your means and try and grow your base income, and then whatever excess you have, park it in an index fund and just keep on parking it regularly.
The thing which he talked about, right? That's something which I really like, living below means, because see, the thing is, there's something called hedonic adaptation. That is, no matter what you have right now, you'll basically be happy with it and unsatisfied with it in some time. So if you constantly lifestyle upgrade, the problem is, or let me put it this way, right? We are happy when good things happen, but we get used to it.
Correct.
But when things go bad, we get really, really sad. The happiness we get from life ka improvement by 10 points is less than the sadness we get from life ka degradation by 10 points.
Yeah.
So if you're always constantly living beyond it means, the truth is that you'll always be happy, right? Because there's this tiny improvements you do. So there's like a lot of runway for you to.
Yes.
But, or let me put it this way. Yesterday I was telling a friend of mine, right? Think of a 50 lakh person, 1 crore person, 10 crore person, 100 crore person, 1000 crore person. Ultimately, let's say they all did something which is according to their money. The 50 lakh person bought like a small car. The other guy bought like a Ferrari or something. Then this guy bought a private jet. Somebody bought an island. Ultimately, at the moment of purchase, they are all equally happy, right? Not because of the price of the thing, but happiness is created when you release dopamine. Now, it doesn't matter whether you're Ambani or let's say me or you. We all have a constant amount of dopamine to release. And once the high is over, the low also comes.
Yeah.
So if you try to get very high beyond your means, when the low hits, it won't be nice. This aspect of personal finance, everybody says ki, this is fake Indian mentality of, people say, right, oh, you are trying to be this fake humility and all. It's not about that. It's about a simple principle called hedonic adaptation. If you keep on upgrading your life, it's like this, right? Like a lot of people who do, chemical drugs. Like if you keep on doing this, after some time, you'll get a depletion low. And that low is crazy. It lasts for 2-3 days, right? You try to upgrade your lifestyle, it's not very different from that. And if it's volatile, I don't know how many people can take the lows that come with a volatile lifestyle very well. So in personal finance, I think one of the most important things is first make sure that before you go into spending, investing and figuring out, devoting your time to which asset classes to invest, focus on your job and make sure that you have a very nice, whatever your main hustle is, make sure it's very nice. Then whatever he said, Yeah, and uske baad it doesn't really matter. Truth is that wherever you put money, almost all of them will don't do stupid stuff with your money. But whether you are investing in XYZ index or ABC index, it's not going to really like don't spend like 6 hours thinking should I put in SBI Magnum Mutual Fund or ICICI Prudential. It doesn't matter. Half
Yeah.
a percent difference in 20 years, you won't care. Make sure you earn money. Make sure you're happy. The other part is like, right? I mean,
Yeah. In
How-
fact, I've done bunch of interviews for our YouTube channel, right? People
yeah,
who have, we have
yeah.
done fire, and that's where we learned.
Yeah.
And one interesting thing is one of my colleagues, we are actually writing a book on it, saying fire for millionaires, because by interviewing these people, we have learned a bunch of things, and we said we can. So the guy who is helping me write this book, who went through an interview, raw footage, everything, and who is helping me put content out there in the book, he said, now I've realized I don't want to do fire. Like if you truly achieve fire, you don't need fire.
Yeah.
Right? But it's little
Do
paradox.
you want to tell people what fire is?
Oh, for like it's a very common term, financial independence and retire early,
Retire early. Yeah.
right?
So on that note, how do you guys personally invest? Where is your money?
100% debt, of which 95% is India government bonds.
Excellent.
Like I sold out all my equity mutual funds 2 days back when Nifty was around. My last bits of mutual funds I sold around 21,600 Nifty or something, which was last Friday.
You're like, this is peak. I want everything in
Matlab,
red
no,
now.
it's not peak. Let me put it this way, right? I'm again going back to whatever he said. See, now maybe Nifty will go to 23, 24, I don't know. मेरे को नहीं चाहिए. Like I don't want that last 10%, 15%. I don't want to take that tension. I'll just put out everything in a government bond or FD, earn 7-8%. If I do that for the next 5 years also, I'm very happy making 7-8% for 5 years. And uske beech mein I know there will be some correction crash, something when Nifty might go to 16 or 17 or 15 or I don't know, right? At that time we'll come back to equity.
Which will give you an opportunity to come in again.
हाँ मतलब ये 22,000 पे जाके इक्विटी ऑल इन मार्केट टेंशन नहीं लेने का लाइफ में, इसलिए और नो नॉट मार्केट व्यू और एनीथिंग, जस्ट अबाउट पीस ऑफ माइंड. So 100% it, which is his instrument. So
Yeah. Mine is about 50% in debt, 50% in equity.
Okay, half and half.
Yeah, so I started equity investing after starting Winter. Before that, it was kind of 100% in debt.
Everyone in Papa's company, everything in Papa's company.
Yeah, and just some mutual fund, ELSS mutual funds, but
Got it.
nothing like 4-5 lakhs in that, but nothing apart from that.
Do you think that will change? Are you looking to change it, or are you pretty happy at where you are?
No, it will change. So I'll go like I'll now I invest majorly in equities.
Got it.
And keep increasing debt.
Okay, so you're saying that side will slowly continue to increase and grow.
Yeah. And I don't really look at कि कितना percentage क्या है. मतलब how I look at investing is what is my investment horizon. If I need that money within 5 years, then it has to be in debt. If it is beyond 10 years, then clearly equity. 5 to 10 में ठीक है, मतलब you can.
doesn't matter.
Let's talk about a very interesting thing that we were discussing outside. You said that on Sensible you see this very commonly, that people who have these large stacks end up actually making money, but people with small stacks, people who have let's say 50,000, 60,000, that level, they end up losing money fairly quickly and then moving out. Why do you think that happens? What's the
So the thing is this, right? So I think the world is majorly rigged towards rich getting richer and poor getting poorer for a very different reason. It's not, see, there is something called a return on investment of time. So if I tell, so I don't know what Ajinkya has, maybe Ajinkya has 100 crores. कितने में list किया वो? So
अरे you'll be very surprised.
No, I'm kidding.
Yeah.
So if I go tell Ajinkya, boss, देखो, I'll give you an instrument that gives 7% return. Ajinkya will be like, oh, 7%. He means some 7 crores a year. I'll take it, right? So, but if you go tell a person who just graduated out of job, right? Like even I was there at one point of time, 25 years old, not much money with me. And if I have only 1 lakh, 2 lakh to invest, and if you come and ask me, boss, 7% return, or even let's say 15% return, right? 15% return on 1 lakh is 15,000 rupees. And if you take like 20-30% tax, it's like what, 12,000 rupees. Divided by 12,000 rupees. Basically, you're telling me 1,000 rupees extra.
yeah?
Dude, like, come on, man. Are you
Doesn't really matter.
Doesn't really matter, right? So if you go to a person who doesn't have much money and tell him 15% return, he's like, I want to create wealth, right? 15% is not wealth creation level.
Correct.
So they'll be like, I'll just gamble. Matlab, I want 2x, 3x, right?
Correct.
But if you go to a person who has, let's say, 50 crore with him, and tell them ki boss dekho 15% return, this person is like, dude, that's too much, I want something safer. Because
He doesn't want to lose money.
he doesn't want to, he is not wealth creator, he is a wealth preserver.
Correct.
He wants to preserve whatever he has, right? It's like at 50 crores, you don't want to lose anything because you will be the idiot who lost 50 crores.
Yeah.
So at that level, you will be thinking, yaar, mere ko 7%, 8% chahiye. If it's backed by Federal Reserve, even better. I'll take 6% also. 3% bhi de do bahut hai. Which is why all these rich people put money in Swiss francs and.
That's why 90% of the money is in government of
No,
India.
So see.
No, it's true. No,
there is no Lamborghini outside. Let's just agree on that. So, but so the thing is. If you go to younger people who are very vulnerable, they're all trying to make their lives better and create money.
Correct.
Which is why typically, again, people who are vulnerable to scams, people who listen to influencers and invest in, I don't know what kind of schemes, etc. They're all people. It's not their fault. It's a circumstance, right? I don't want to make 1,000 rupees extra every month. I want to see. I have 1 lakh. If I make it 10 lakh, great. If I lose 1 lakh, it's only 1 lakh. I lose, screw this, right? This is the attitude, which is why most people lose money at that. And this is very much the same in, like if you go to a very rich person, right? That person will not do F&O for money. See, I know a lot of people who are 40, 50 years old, they are bored out of their mind and doing F&O. That I understand.
Correct.
But they're not there to make money. They're there to get entertained.
Correct.
Even we tell our audience, ki, look, if you are 30, 35 years old, I understand that there is massive midlife crisis coming in. You have very few options: Harley Davidson, BMW, F&O trading, etc. Aaja boss, have some entertainment. Don't lose too much money.
Correct.
But and if you ask me, this demographic is the only people who can do all these high risk investment because they can take that drawdown.
Correct.
Also because if you have money, right? If you have a 10% drawdown, you won't be like really tensed.
Correct.
So your decision making is clear, etc., etc.
Yeah, I think a couple of episodes ago we were talking to Nitin from Uni Card, Nitin Gupta. So he was of this opinion also that over the last few years, what has happened is that suddenly people have started to have more disposable income.
Yeah.
So they've started to participate more in slightly more, as a riskier asset class.
Correct.
Like, participate in crypto, participate in F&O, and scale that up. Do you think? Well, I'm assuming that's of course true, but it's also because just availability has increased, right? Access has increased.
Access has increased. Aspiration has increased.
Yeah, and there is this core human tendency. In fact, I was reading up somewhere that they did some survey in below poverty line people in US, and what they realize is these people spend more money in buying lottery tickets than buying insurance.
Yeah.
Right? Because
Kuch to
at the end of the day, everyone wants an escape, right?
not just escape. I want to be rich, right? And money solves a lot of problems.
Basically,
right?
escape from poverty. Let me get this so that I can escape out and become rich and then figure out what I want to do.
So I think it's a core human tendency.
In Kerala, it's a big problem. By the way, if you actually look at the amount of money some people invest in lotteries, and if you add it up over a period of time, it's crazy how much money people could have invested and saved and increased. It's like, so even F&O, right? So let's say I know a lot of people who have lost around 10-15 L in the last decade on F&O, right? They're all fairly well-to-do people, so they don't really care.
Correct.
But the truth remains that if they had invested that in Nifty, even as late as 2016, they would be sitting on 3 times the money. That's like 50-60 L. It's not chiller money, right? And it's only taxed at 10%. So it's something worth thinking about, that in the long run, the lottery buying, I'm not sure if it's a good idea or not.
No one cares about long run, unfortunately.
That's
the problem.
Yeah.
I think it's not that people don't care, just that they don't know how to get out of it, right? So
I think it's also because a lot of, let's say with someone who is at a very low poverty income, they can't even do much with the additional savings, right? They don't think of it. At least they don't think that will help them a lot.
Saving and getting 10-12% won't change their life anyway.
Won't change their life. So actually, it's kind of bad that a lot of people who are more fortunate in life look at people who are trying this and say, ye kya baksha diye, why are these people doing this, why don't they save? Fundamentally the difference is, boss, you are sitting on a big stack, you have a base,
your mentality is
different. That person has to escape his extreme, like it's like, how do you put it, there's something called marginal utility law, right? Your first few bits of money can change your life dramatically.
Correct.
Like if a person who's making 10K, if he makes 20K, his life changes quite a bit. But a person who's making 2L, If that person is only making 2L and 5,000, his life doesn't change. So this person will try everything he can, because yaar jayega to kya hi jayega, that 10K, right? Anyway, he's unhappy with it, so he doesn't care. I think this is one reason why we find a lot of people taking speculative risks. And truth is that you can't blame anybody for this, right? Because it's human tendency. And if 1 out of 10 people have a better outcome, who is somebody to judge that the other 9 people don't?
I think also,
Yeah, and that like similar thing, like as a society, you start judging based on what is good and bad, right?
Yeah.
People judge FNO traders as bad, but people are very supportive when somebody sends their children to Kota. The success rate is much worse in Kota, right?
Yeah.
But these people still spend so much money, right?
Yeah.
no, but I think it's also it's a matter of time. Like people learn by doing mistakes, as we said. So this, for example, in a lot of cases, we see that users who've been with us since the last, let's say 4 or 5 years, who've done a bunch of their mistakes, they now invest very differently in crypto. Like their thinking is, I want to park funds, I want to scale it up over the longer run, and not do a lot of the speculative degen gambling that is there. So I think it's also a matter of just time that will change, and like the risk assets will become a part of most people's portfolio, but with a smaller quantum where they understand the risk also better.
People learn their lessons. And also,
do you have any data on what is the age of like the sample, like what is and how much of the portfolio are they doing in FNO?
so it's a tricky thing. See, the thing is this, right? Sensible has a selection bias. So our crowd is usually slightly serious crowd. So see, generally if you look at it, maybe F&O is done a lot by mid-20s or lower 20s people, but we find slightly older people. Because see, for starters, if you want to use Sensible, there's a lot of precursors which go into this. 1, you understand market. 2, you're not a person who thinks market is run by news. 3, you understand technical analysis, you understand how to read an open interest graph, you know how to make sense of an FII data. Then you also understand how to do a strategy. When we put all of these people together, we are only looking at like a 3%.
Sensible, but would you have a general idea on the market?
Is
there some SEBI data set?
So I don't know the exact demographics.
That would be interesting.
Our demographics is older.
Interestingly, for us, we do have quite a few younger people, but their quantum and amount is much smaller. The people who are by default, the older people that we have is the larger audience from an AUM perspective.
Yeah.
And their thinking is also very different. They're not looking for that short-term jump. They're looking for that.
So in my mind,
value.
why fundamentally I'm asking this is I can understand somebody very young doing this, because for him, if he's successful, the life changes dramatically. Somebody in 40s doing it.
Which part of midlife crisis did you miss?
No.
That basket also has a higher a higher part of their overall asset allocation that they can put in, a higher disposable income.
So I'm saying all the incentives that I see are non-financial. If I actually sit through and I don't think any of these assets would make sense from a very sane point of view.
Yeah.
From a financial returns point of view.
No, I think
is what I'm saying. As a part of portfolio.
It does make sense, but at a certain quantum only. Like I would never ask anyone to put in, let's say, 30% of their wealth in crypto.
Yeah.
But 2%, 5%, maybe yes. I would say that.
But how much will that earn? Let me ask you this. From that's not going to.
That's the thing, right? It's not necessarily financial. People.
So that's what I'm coming to. Saying to it is not a question of portfolio. It's like the thrill that you get, the entertainment that. And by all means, people should be allowed to do it.
Yeah, thoda learning.
But I don't see as a I don't think if I get to a RIA, who is well intentioned, very competent, he would design and have these very risky assets, especially.
So let's talk about it from this different perspective, right? Like the smart institutional investor perspective, who are wanting to do all of this from the returns basis, right? So this there is this large mutual fund. I shouldn't call it mutual fund, an index fund provider called as ARK in the US. And in the US, you all...
Cathy Wood, right?
Cathy Wood is the founder of ARK. And in the US, there is this entire thing going on around Bitcoin ETF and so on and so forth right now, right? So they published a report last year where they said that, okay, if you're an institutional investor, what you want to do is, your main purpose is that you want to, at that same level of risk, add more returns. Right? Theoretically, that's what a wealth manager is trying to do for a large institution. Or reduce, or for the same returns, reduce risk. They say that because, let's say for crypto, because it's like it's an asset class that's diversified, that's non-correlated with typical assets, adding 2 to 3% of crypto in your portfolio at the same level of risk gives you effectively 10 to 15% more returns. And that's the thought process with which people think of investing in general, right? I want to diversify my assets. I want to put in equities. I want to put in real estate. I want to put in gold. So it's ki similar risk, thoda high returns, all of that adds up over time.
Probably I'm a very anti-crypto guy, so I like you obviously I have that bias. But what I think is that risk return analysis is only good for assets which have been there for a long time.
Correct.
Right?
Of course. Like
So
it's all biased because the 5 साल की history है.
In equity market you can see cycles, कुछ तो है ये.
Yeah.
Crypto में it can give you 1000x return also, and it could go to zero in next 5 years. The previous therefore risk return का analysis करना it is void, मतलब because you don't have enough data to judge it as an asset class.
It's just too early.
It's just too early. So it is like.
But that said, there's an outside chance. You never know if the world goes very awry, what will come to help. Of course, gold, physical gold, maybe crypto. Like the gloom and doom scenario.
It's like in doom, put money into gold and silver.
Gold, silver, maybe crypto, who knows?
Yeah, just buy Bitcoin. And that's why we like the common advice is if you don't know what you're doing, like, and if you're still interested in crypto, please, boss, don't do anything apart from Bitcoin. Buy it and keep it for the long run. Don't do anything apart from that.
Or let me put it this way, right? Maybe if you're worried about a World War III, you can probably put 2% of your money, 1% of your money in crypto, 10-15% of your money in gold, stuff like that. Maybe in that category, it might just make sense to have Bitcoin maybe, right? See, and if you are a major person interested in changing the color of money from one color to other color, you should have a lot of crypto. Which is why the government of India is also going behind a lot of crypto with anti-money laundering laws and all that. But I don't think, I agree with you that it's not purely financial. I think one part could be that some people are genuinely scared ki boss kuch hoga, so maybe Bitcoin is a good thing to keep. Some people might be thinking ki, okay, what if something major upside happens?
Actually, I agree with Ajinkya from the perspective that I do think that 60-70% of the reason why you're doing this is because you want this learning, all the ulterior motives apart from just making slight more money.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, 100%. Even F&O. Right?
Yeah, even F&O. Yeah.
Because most of these, see, the thing is, all these 35-year-old uncles like me, I don't think they are doing it strictly for money, right? Most of them are yaar, bored hai yaar.
Like I kid you not, I just became a father 6 months ago, and uske pehle there are these numerous scans that you need to go to, right? And one such scan, the doctor is doing the scan, checking whether baby is good or not, with one hand looking at the TV. Literally on his hand on the phone, he is buying Nifty bank options. And I was like, what are you doing, bro? Like you scan. And
was he using Sensible?
I'm not sure. I asked him afterwards, why are you doing this? Like, do you do this as a hobby? Do you do this regularly? He's like, I have mastered everything that I have to do in the profession that I have.
Yeah.
I do like 50 scans a day, and like I know immediately if there is something wrong. I know immediately if something is not. So for me, this is extremely boring. I do want some thrill and revenue, which is why I'm doing F&O trading.
Intellectual kicks.
Yeah, it's a lot of. It's just literally that. I want that kick.
I play poker every Friday. That's also intellectual.
Same.
F&O, now I'm like, dude, no, I have to, like, you can't do F&O and build a company. It's like, thoda. I used to do F&O Beach Mein because we had done that verified by Sensible. And, people can ask me, tum apna dikhao, to uske liye I'm like, yaar, chalo dekh lo yaar.
That's actually also a very interesting part that I wanted to touch upon. You guys launched Verified by Sensible, which was essentially...
I'm surprised I'm alive after doing that, but...
So why don't you tell us a bit more about Verified by Sensible?
Yeah, the thing is, see, in Twitter, so the thing is, okay, honestly, I think it got started because I was getting married. Because in 2022, May or April or something, my wife and I used to, so because we got...
Oh, I thought you are not remembering the date.
No. So because we were getting married in our mid-30s, parents were not doing shopping, we were doing everything. The entire event was organized by the two of us, right?
Excellent.
So I used to take her to, all the shopping places, and I was bored out of the mind. So sometimes she'll be asking this one or that one. Sometimes like, this is a trick question, this is the last one, stuff like that. I have no idea what is happening.
Yeah.
So then I started doing Twitter, right? Because there's nothing else to do if you're waiting in Mysore Sari Silk, that thing in somewhere nearby only, right? So then I realized, Twitter interesting, a lot of scams are happening in Twitter. And then I realized a lot of people were putting fake screenshots. I'm like, boss, kya chal raha hai? And I can actually make out this is a fake screenshot because numbers are not matching AO. Right? And then there are people who are in my family and immediate circle and all who are like following all these scammers. I'm like, boss, तुम लोग मतलब दिमाग खराब है क्या? This is so obviously a fake. They're like, no, sir, तो अच्छे आदमी है, उनके पास तो ये कार है, वो घर है. I'm like, dude, listen. In fact, our office is rented by this dude, right? And this guy was saying, I found an influencer. He's a brilliant trader. I learned from him. I'm like, how do you know he's a brilliant trader? He's like, he has a Mercedes S and a BMW 7. I'm like, how much is he charging for this class? He's like 80,000 per person for 3 months. I'm like, how much is 200 people subscribing to his course for 3 months at 80,000? He's like around 1.6 crores. How much is a Mercedes S class? And he's like, oh, I'm like, yeah, right. So, but then I was like really frustrated. So we were in Twitter. People used to say this is real. I used to say this is fake. And people are like, nay, you are jealous. Sir is making money. Ye wo.
Yeah.
So I'm like, dude, I can prove that this is no. So they're like, can you prove that it is fake? People are like challenging, ki, boss, how do you know this is fake? Can you prove that this is fake? Do you have data? And then I'm like, oh wait, I have data. So, and we had data of Zerodha, Angel, ICICI, all these brokers, and we are like, we can actually verify anybody's P&L. And then
Correct.
I thought a couple of people in my team, dude, listen, see, there is no upside to it. We are just going to do it for the sake of fun. And in the process, maybe we'll save a lot of people who are believing all these fraudsters.
Correct.
Zero monetary incentive, nothing will come out of it. Maybe it will become nothing. Do you want to do it? And a couple of people in the team are like, this is fun, we'll do it. Right? And so me, one product manager, I think Justin and Nagaraj was the engineer. 3 of us, Ashwati was the designer. 4 of us started. It's a separate, we carved out like a tiny, side team for something called verified by sensible. And the rest of the team are like, tum log jo karna hai karo maro. And they said, we'll build a real business wala product, right? So 4 of us side may started this hustle. And luckily for us, this product would have never become famous. But luckily for us, a lot of borderline scammy, fraudulent scamsters, they all started ganging up against us, right? Oh, this is this. People were like abusing us online. People were like, oh, this is scam. This can be that fraud. So something which nobody should have talked about, suddenly it became the talk of Twitter. Even before releasing the product, people are like, dude, listen, this product is scam. And now the problem is, once you start polarization, there's a lot of debate which starts. And there are a lot of people who are frustrated about this. Suddenly, screenshots numbers started dipping. Some people started speculating there is no such product. He's just bluffing too. And one fine morning, it was actually 12:30 in the midnight when we released it on November 26th last year, 2022. It just launched and I didn't anticipate it. My God, the thing started trending every day.
Yeah, on Twitter.
Every evening, they're like, verified by sensible, trending in India, 2000 posts. I'm like, boss, kya chal raha hai? And then it became a rage, right? And suddenly what happened is a lot of people who were sharing screenshots, Gurujis, influencers, Telegram tipsters, nobody is sharing screenshots anymore.
Correct.
I remember there were people who were sharing 20-30 lakhs ka profit statements every day on Twitter before this episode. And after this, they just said, oh, Twitter is a very toxic place. My mental health is gone. I'm just going to leave social media. I'm like, tum to screenshot dalte the yaar, har din tumhe kya ho gaya abhi? So suddenly, see, it's still there in Instagram and YouTube.
Correct.
And all, right? Because we don't have verified on Instagram because Instagram is not really social media. It's just broadcast platform. I can say something, you will say it is fraud, I can delete your comment. In Twitter, I can't do that. So Twitter may at least the amount of fake screenshot like dramatically reduced, right? And the good thing is that somehow, because it made national news, we were on CNBC and all at that time. Luckily for us in the sense for the whole country's ecosystem, I think the regulator took note, NSE took note, SEBI took note, everybody took note. And they said, boss, listen, ये private company शायद हमारा काम कर रहा है. Right? So they actually formed a committee. And I think last month they released a paper. They are actually forming a performance validation central authority. So if you're a retail investor or if you're like a guru or if you're an RA anything, your performance will be audited by somebody who's in that exchange depository ecosystem. So tomorrow if an RIA comes and says, boss, mera kar lo, you can't get away with a backtest.
Correct.
Somebody can audit your performance and say, dude, listen, this is his last 3 years, you do whatever you want.
And it seems like this is such a basic thing that should be there, right?
It should be there.
We've done a marketplace of traders at some
I
time back.
loved that product, dude. Like I said, right? Like when I first saw your marketplace, I told my 2 co-founders, boss, this is the future. But that's a different story.
You also had some, right?
Yeah, we were just discussing this earlier. The common problem over there is the traders come in, they start trading, they game the system, make money for some time, then subscribers join and start following them. And like in reality, you can be lucky for a few periods and then start losing money, right? So that cycle just dips out very, very quickly.
Yeah. No, the thing is this, right? Like the marketplace you showed, right? Now, the sad part about investing, especially in an aspirational country where everybody is trying to get rich, is that whoever, or let me put it this way, right? The dude who is going at 210 kilometers an hour on Mysore highway is not the best driver.
Yeah.
He is not going to last long, right? But when you are seeing that particular instant of time, he will look like he's the best guy out there. And then you will be like, boss, iske tera banna hai mujhe. But that is not the reality.
Correct.
5 years from now, he might not be there. Now, in investing, there are people who make insane money, right? And if you go to a marketplace on the leaderboard, let's say his name is Chaman Lal. Chaman Lal is on the top of the list, right? Chaman Lal is going to be on the top of the list only for 2-3 months. But for those 2-3 months, a lot of people are going to see Chaman Lal's performance.
Correct.
And going to follow him. What they don't realize is that in the 4th or 5th or 6th month, this guy is going to crash.
Correct.
Just like that 210 kilometers an hour person on Mysore highway is taking ridiculous amount of risk. It's just that you haven't seen the risk yet. But because of his speed, you're thinking he's a great driver. Similarly, in an investment marketplace, the problem is that if you put a leaderboard, there will be always somebody who's taking irrational risk who will be momentarily at the top.
Correct.
Everybody will go and pile on that guy, right? What they don't realize is that there will be probably a person at the 5th or 6th spot who's always consistently at, right? So these people, nobody will care about. There will be a transient crowd, changing crowd at the top of the leaderboard. 1, 2, 3, 4. It will keep on changing because they take
risk, they go up and then they go out.
And this is the problem, right? Nobody really appreciates this 13-14% risk taker who consistently gives it to you for 4-5 years and really makes you a nice, peaceful, tension-free life. Everybody wants that volatile, adrenaline.
No one appreciates the consistency.
So the reason why marketplaces fail are fundamentally wired to fail in for example, in an Amazon marketplace is great because it's just feedback on the product, right?
Correct.
Top 3 products you should always buy. But in an investing terms, if some advisor or a fund is on the top, it is because the return is the highest. But what the people don't realize is that it is the highest also because it is taking the highest risks probably.
Correct.
But nobody has if people are meaningfully able to create awareness about the concept of risk-adjusted risk, and then all the marketplaces in the country only rank on the basis of risk-adjusted risk, then this is fine. I mean, this is risk-adjusted
returns,
right? But the problem is, even if tomorrow I were to create a marketplace and display everybody in risk-adjusted reward, the problem is some other company will start, which will say, boss, this person made 50%, come, everybody come here, and everybody will go.
The incentives are always mismatched.
So everybody's incentive is to portray somebody who has made 50%, 100%, 200% return. Even if you open Insta, right? How many times do you see a reel, this person made 25% return every year for the last 7 years? No. 50,000 rupees to 1 crore. The story in 2 weeks. This has million views. I think this is the problem, which is why our marketplace or any marketplace for that reason doesn't succeed. So yeah. I think you must have had the same experience.
Exactly same experience. This is why we said the real way in which people can only make money is index, invest, long term.
Yeah.
That's what you do.
Don't look at return.
Yeah.
So it's crazy, but yeah.
So we'll just quickly go through some rapid fire questions to understand, a bit more about you. Let's first start off by habits. So one habit, Abid, that you would have picked up in the last couple of years that you think has significantly changed your life?
Go to gym, work out every day without fail, an hour and a half. That is one habit I picked up last couple of years. Extremely happy to do that.
Changes the entire day, right?
Changes
like the one day
life.
You miss it.
Changes the entire day, changes the entire life. Also, it makes you ask others around you to do that. So long term may improves your life massively.
Correct.
Massively.
Ajinkya?
No new habit in past 2 years.
Chalo, slightly longer.
Longer as in?
Let's increase the framework. What's the last great habit that you picked up?
I used to meditate, that has stopped, but I'll restart that. I think after I had a kid, like a lot of my habits
have been moved to the kid.
Yeah. Yes. No, but one thing I broke habit is I stopped reading.
Oh, yeah.
Right, because I realize I've read a lot. I haven't actually implemented anything. So there is no point in reading more.
Ajinkya is the most real person I know. Like every time I talk to her, like boss, ये क्या straight बात करता है. I've read a lot. I've not implemented anything, so screw it.
So in hindsight, best book that you've read?
One thing that changed me as a person was this *Sapiens* by Yuval Noah Harari. As an entrepreneur, the book that helped me most was *Thinking in Bets*.
Annie Duke.
Huh?
Annie
Yeah. These two books I can remember now, so that they will,
Yeah.
I don't. Yeah, there are a bunch of other books that have been helpful, but yeah.
Abid, for you?
Dude, so it's kind of crazy. It's very offbeat, but so I used to read like 3 books a week when I was studying till the end of college, right? So I was into all these. So let me put it this way, right? Somebody once asked me who are my most read authors, and I was like saying Albert Camus, Franz Kafka, Fyodor Dostoevsky, Haruki Murakami.
Oh
He's
my
like,
God.
boss, you're the most depressing person I've ever met. And then I realized, dude, I am the most depressing person I know, right? So after my college, I just gave up reading. I said, dude, I'm not going to read any of these, Russian, Japanese, Eastern European authors and poke myself anymore. Enough is enough. I completely dropped fiction somewhere in 2009, 10, 11 types. And yeah, I haven't read, but from my vague recollections of what I used to read, yeah, these were some splendid. Salman Rushdie is a splendid author. I think he is the person with the most enriched vocabulary of all the English. Interestingly, right, the two best English authors who use English language in the most beautiful ways are not native English speakers. I mean, the ones I have read, right? One is
Yeah.
Vladimir Nabokov, not English, obviously from the name. The other is Salman Rushdie. So yeah, but these were some of the old favorites. Now to nothing. Read
Excellent.
business books, chup raho.
Yeah.
ज़्यादा life के बारे में मत सोचो.
And then, let's say, lastly, one gift that you've most often given to people.
I buy a lot of miniature cars for my nephew. I love toy cars, and he loves toy cars.
Yeah.
And
I was a kid, I used to have this huge collection of these Hot Wheels.
Yeah.
Yes.
So basically, die-cast replicas of iconic cars. I just give it to him every
Oh,
time
you
I
are
find one.
say premium luxury Hot
नहीं
Wheels.
नहीं दिखने में अच्छे लगने वाले cars that a 3-year-old can use. I gift him every time.
Great. Ajinkya, any thoughts?
No, I don't gift a lot anymore, right? But I think if I have to think just from a utility, I have successfully convinced 3-4 founders not to raise venture capital.
Hey, that's me.
Yeah.
That's a huge gift.
Yeah, and I think,
Elaborate.
no, I think not all founders should raise venture capital for a bunch of reasons.
Yeah.
Right. And these. There is a lot of FOMO created by the kind of funding that is raised, etc.
So who should be raising and who should not?
There is no one formula, but I think people are just better off. If we're like, when Abid called us, like,
Yeah, I was about to. So we had an offer from a VC, very irresistible offer. This guy convinced me not to take it. I'm incredibly thankful to him for that decision.
yeah. So he called me for advice. I said, "Can you give me your numbers?" And when he told numbers, I was like, I should come and like touch your feet. Like, why are you seeking advice? You're already there. Why are you're taking this money, right? The kind of numbers you have, right? So one is obviously if you are profitable business, you should think hard. Second is if you are starting first time and if you don't have money, and then the best. This is my recent realization is, and I tell this to many founders who are starting up now is. There is no anymore arbitrage in chasing a big idea or a unicorn founder, because a lot of smart people are doing it.
Yeah.
Right. While there is a massive arbitrage in creating $10 million, $20 million companies, because nobody chasing it. It's not sexy.
Yeah.
And at the end of the day, again coming back to the fire number, 20 crore is the fire number in my mind, which is more than enough for almost 99% of Indians, right?
Yeah.
So first achieve that number, and then do all this. I call this bakchodi of venture capital, right? I think So that's my general, like, even if anybody's starting now, I would tell them just figure out a company that you can build in, let's say, 5-10 years and just sell it for 100 crores.
Yeah.
If you can do that, you're much better off, and then you can do all this venture capital things.
It's so
Obviously, the
surprising
venture
that-
capital is great if you want to make something really big. But again, the concept of risk, right? If you're going for such a big pie, right, then the risk is going to be huge. And there is a really good possibility that you will end up being zero.
Also because you will not have a lot of things in your control as well, right? Like some
Yes,
things you
yes.
can, a
Yeah.
lot
And
you
one
can't.
of the things that I've realized is this is not just about venture capital. As an entrepreneur, you are so vulnerable.
Yeah.
Your destiny is defined by so many factors that you have absolutely zero control, right, over.
Yeah.
Right?
It's half of the time you're just reacting to things that
Yes,
are going on.
and sometimes even if you react, do anything, nobody cares, man.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Cool. I guess that's it. Thanks a lot, guys, for being here. Loved this conversation. I hope you guys enjoyed as well.
Same here.
Yeah, same here.
Chalo. Cool. Thank you.